welcome to episode 160 of
The Eldritch Podblast.
I am Margaret.
I am Jack.
And 160.
The landmark. The landmark.
The
The number that we always aspired to get to.
160.
160.
Yeah.
That's the one.
As soon as it's a different number, like in the mid.
So we went from the 50s to the 160s.
Yeah. 160s onto
Now
200 soon. Which is wild.
That is wild.
That is
That's insane.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Because we post twice a week. We've only really missed a few uploads here and there.
Yeah, probably like 5 in like a year and a half.
Because how many weeks in a year? 52?
52.
So then 52 times 2 is 104.
Nice.
And then again is 156.
Yeah. So we're just over a year and a half in.
Yeah, that's wild. Is that right?
With a few missed uploads, so we're probably a little bit further along than that.
Yeah.
Which we are, because we're coming into August, and that means we're 4 months away from the new year, and in the new year it'll be 2 years.
Yeah, this is it the 16th of January?
Something
I think
like that, yeah.
it was when our first upload was. But what do you think about that quick math, by the way?
You were killing it.
That was
you were slaying that.
That
math.
was some math.
You were eating that math.
I was.
She was eating?
I was.
Eating?
I really was. Hello, how are you doing? Look, you want to see something cool? Hold on.
Oh my
Hold
God.
on.
Oh my
Hold
God.
on.
Okay,
Hold on.
Good. Oh, let's go. Oh my God, the panting.
Emulating some stream energy here.
Yeah. Some big stream energy.
Hey, come join us on live stream. All we do is being like, hey, chat, look.
Chat, look.
You're annoying
And
neighbor
we do it
kid.
every Friday, Sunday, and every other
Tuesday. Yeah, what day is this video?
Thursday. So we're
So
streaming
you'll be seeing us tomorrow.
So we'll see you there 100%.
Because you want to see this.
No problem at all. Yeah, I want to see
You
that.
want to see this live.
Oh, yeah, I want to see that. Oh my God.
That panning. What about it?
Oh my God, hit him with the cat cough.
It looks really dark.
No, it's not.
It's in here.
It's not.
No. Have I just forgotten what it's like to film after
in,
one day?
In one day.
Yeah.
You had your Saturday off, you had your day off and did nothing but play Valorant.
Did nothing. Well, you went to the football game.
I went to the football game.
Yeah.
There was so much traffic, we basically had to sprint from the car to the stadium. And I did not have the shoes for that, and I got a blister on the back of my right heel.
Is it so bad now?
It's not bad. You can see it's a blister.
I didn't look at it. I should have looked at it yesterday.
Yeah,
really.
it's not great.
Yeah,
but I took my nephew and I took my dad.
Yep.
The mighty Middlesbrough won. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. Can I get a let's go in chat? Can I get a let's go down in the comments?
Who are they?
Who are they fighting?
Yeah, who are they fighting?
They were playing Swansea.
I see.
Who are a Welsh team.
Yeah.
But yeah, we won. Let's go.
Good stuff.
My nephew enjoyed it very much.
Good.
I had to drop off at his other grandma's after that.
Yeah.
Because he was having his third sleepover.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He stayed at my mum and dad's for 2 nights, and then he's gone to.
Oh my goodness
yeah.
gracious me! What a treat!
Mm-hmm. Like we dropped him off. Dog's just knocked the light. It will be alright. So he went to football in the morning.
Yeah.
Then we went to the Borough game. Yeah. And obviously we had to run there, and then we had to run out, so we didn't get caught in the traffic on the way out. And he was knackered.
He must have been.
In the first half, we were sat down, we were 15 minutes into the game, and he just went, "Uncle Jack," and I was like, "Yeah," and he was like, "I'm really tired."
Oh no!
So I got him some chips and some crisps or whatever, and some water at the halftime, and he seemed better, but he seemed a bit sleepy in the car.
Yeah.
And they were dropping him off, and they were taking him to the beach. Let the poor lad just rest.
He's gonna sleep well, that's for sure. Because
yeah.
what? He's 5, turning 6 in October.
5 turning 6 in October. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? That kid has a lot of energy as well.
That kid has a lot of energy.
A lot of energy. So for him to be actively tired.
Yeah.
Oh, bless him.
Up at 9 for football.
Jack went to the game. I laid in bed with the dog.
Yeah.
Probably an hour.
Your favourite Phantom skin came in the Valorant shop?
Oh my goodness, the stars aligned. I was like, I did some stuff for like Twitch and stuff, like just some graphics. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to design myself a Sage t-shirt from Valorant because I designed myself the Phoenix one when I played Phoenix. I don't play Phoenix anymore. So I was like, I'll make myself a Sage t-shirt, which I did. And I checked the store in Valorant, and one of my favorite skins that I've been coveting since it came out was in my shop. So what a treat of a day, to be honest with you.
Mist Bloom Phantom?
Mist Bloom Phantom. If you know, you know.
Oh, you know.
We played Valorant. When you got home, we played Valorant literally all day.
Had a Nando's.
It
was great.
Oh, got some Subway cookies.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was good.
Margaret was treating us yesterday.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty great.
We've got a little bit of leftover Nando's for lunch.
We got loads of leftover Nando's.
We've got some hummus and pita. We've got some garlic bread.
We've got
and
some
we've got a couple of
sweet
chicken
potato
thighs.
wedges as well.
Yeah.
We got loads left over.
We're going to be scranning after this.
Yeah, it's a good day.
Scranning after this.
It was a good day. You know what? That was the first proper day off we'd had in ages.
Yeah.
Like every other day off we've had for the past like couple of months, we've had to be doing like business stuff in between.
Which has been good because
it has been.
Like, and it hasn't been like boring stuff. It's been like
really interesting, fun stuff.
Like getting back to emails and like communicating with like people and stuff like that, which has been really exciting.
Yeah. It's been really good, but that was the first proper day off we've had in what feels like a really long time.
Yeah.
So it was nice to do actually nothing.
Actually, nout.
To be honest with you.
Nout at all.
Yeah, and you could argue that me working on some Twitch stuff was work, but I really enjoy doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy. I have to have like this is obviously my creative outlet, but I did graphic design.
She's a graphics designer.
I'm a graphic designer.
Get to know.
So every now and then I have to just design something to get that out of my system,
which is good.
It is good, especially because since we have a podcast and it needs loads of graphics.
It's the
constantly.
fact that you're able to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm worried that he's gonna.
Oh, he's close. He's close to you, the camera. He's close to you, the viewer. Oh no, I think we're all right.
We're okay.
I think we're all right.
I'm looking at the camera. We're okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Why does he do this?
I don't know. He
Itchy
loves
back?
doing it while we're filming.
He does love doing
he
this
just
while
likes
we're
to
filming.
roll around on his back.
Oh, he fell off the bed earlier.
No, he did fall off the bed.
He gets underneath the blanket. He's very much whole body under blanket.
Yeah, it loves being tucked in.
He stood up and he obviously just didn't realize where the end of the bed was, and he fell off the side of the bed.
No.
Thankfully, he was wrapped up in 1,000 duvets.
Yeah,
so
he didn't
the
hurt himself.
duvets like went with him.
Cushioned the fall.
Yeah,
and it wasn't a very big fall.
Bless him. Oh,
little old man takes a tumble.
Oh dear. Anything else?
Not really.
I don't think so.
Not really.
Not much to report, to be honest, which is good.
A nice day off.
Yeah.
Back at it again.
Yeah, back at it again. And what's he doing? And that's about it.
And we released a video last week.
Yeah.
Which was a new one for us, which was just just picking like topics and talking about them instead of things like "Am I the asshole?"
Yeah.
It was like, what are your red flags for players?
Yeah.
Like, as a dungeon master, what red flags do you see and go, nah?
Yeah.
So, and you all seem to really enjoy it, which was awesome. So we're gonna do the same today. But for players.
Yeah, you know what? No, for DMs, but for DMs.
For DMs.
Like, you know what? I think me in particular, I struggle sometimes with things not being completely set in stone and following a certain structure. I go, this is the structure, this is what we have to do, and this is how we stick to it. So I think me personally, because I'm the person who scripts all the videos, I go, okay, well, it goes this, horror stories, am I the asshole, advice, homebrew rules, unpopular opinions, the Reddit post, and then we cycle through them. I don't know why. I'm so scared of like breaking the structure of what we're used to doing. So it's been really nice, just kind of doing whatever. And I hope that this gives me the confidence going forward to be able to script whatever going forward.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So if you like these videos that are like,
tell us down in the comments.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't even necessarily know if it's something that you, as the viewer, pick up on, right?
Yeah.
Do you even notice that we have a structure of things we do, right?
Because the thing is, it's like we have so many topics, I think.
Yeah.
That it's quite hard to actually tell there's a structure.
Well, yeah, that's it. Like, obviously, I know that there's a structure. You know that there's a structure because, like, we have a spreadsheet where we cycle through them and, basically every 5 weeks we refresh we start from the beginning again. I don't even know if you noticed that, and if I'm just making a big deal out of it when I shouldn't. Oh, hey, look at that dog stuck in wires.
There's one wire.
One wire, and
he's
he gets
like,
stuck in it.
I gotta get stuck in this.
I gotta put my head in it.
I gotta get stuck in this. There's no way this podcast could be a podcast without me getting stuck in this wire. Have to do it.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Before we get into it, if you like us, if you could please like the video, that would be so kind.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified every time we upload a video on a Monday and a Thursday. It goes a million miles to help the video. We really appreciate all the love that you always show all of the videos, but don't stop now.
Oh my god.
Pick up some merch at www.eldritchpodblast.co.uk. We're going to be coming out of hot season soon, and we're going to be going into misery, cold, rainy season. So we're going to be putting, I think, a lot of our designs that we've put out, like the
onto
entity
hoodies,
and onto some hoodies. We're thinking about doing a Pride merch drop soon as well.
Let me get rid of this timestamp because this is not topic.
No, this isn't topic.
This is not topic.
We were going to do a Pride designed T-shirt in June, but then we were like, we don't want to take away. We don't want to, be part of
rainbow capitalism. Like
capitalism.
We didn't want to do it in Pride Month, so it didn't.
But obviously,
for rainbow capitalism,
the idea came around that time.
Yeah.
People on stream were mentioning it, so we're far enough away at this point where we think, hey, let's do it.
Yeah, totally.
Like, people want it. We're going to try and we're not going to try. We're going to absolutely 100% donate 10% of every single T-shirt to a LGBTQIA plus charity at the end of every month.
Yes.
So that's going to be coming soon. So look out for that. We'll let you know when it drops.
Yes. When Jack says design, I think it's just going to be because I design everything.
Logo.
It's going to be the logo and all the flag colors.
I think that'll be really cool.
Which I think is going to be
I
really,
think it'll really suit
fun.
It. That up there.
Yeah, I agree. I think so too. Yeah,
I think it'll really suit it.
I think so too.
But that's coming, so keep your eyes peeled for that.
Yes, I have no promises as to when. It's just when I get some time
to do it.
But we will keep you updated on that.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah. Patreon.
Oh my god.
The link is down below. There are 3 tiers. The first tier, I don't know why I'm going at the tiers. There's 3 tiers. 2 of the tiers get access to our campaign updates, which we do every other Tuesday. No, that's a lie.
What's going on?
That's a lie.
What's going on?
Hey, we got a Patreon. Check it out.
Yeah, please. Any support is so much appreciated.
Down in the description, the link is there. We love you so much for all the support that you show us. And the fact that we get to do this, and it's amazing, and we love you.
It is. Thank you. Thank you. So without any further ado, do you want a second? I feel like we are so all over the place.
Can I have the drink? I'm a little thirsty.
Well,
I got that brain dehydration. I got that IBS disease.
You need them electrolytes or whatever. Oh God. Oh, you're normally really good at the promo stuff.
I'm back in the room. I'm back in the room. Yeah, Patreon, merch, all that good stuff's down in the description.
Right.
Love you.
Can I make the note of the time stop now?
Oh my god, make the note? Oh my god. Thank you so much to all our patrons over at Patreon.
You have no idea how much we appreciate your support.
If you want to support us over at Patreon and gain access to our exclusive content,
like our D&D campaign updates and our extra monthly live streams,
click the link in the description. More about Patreon at the end of this video. Thank you.
Okay, so today's...
Oh
my god, I've written it. It's 4 minutes. That's not right.
Let's fucking go.
Today, as Jack mentioned, we are doing the opposite side of red flags. Instead of player red flags, we're going to be looking at what a dungeon master red flag is. Someone suggested, can we do green flags? Absolutely. We will do green flags as well.
I think that's a great idea.
Absolutely.
Green flag sounds like a good idea.
And these are all taken from the Reddit. Some of these, listen, there's a theme. Some of these are like correlated to one another, and I'll let you know. You'll know. Hey, you have a brain, right? Oh, no, I guess not. Oh, no, I suppose not. Ooh, the entity took that from you too. Ooh.
Yeah.
If you ask really kindly, someone might lend you the brain cell. I don't have it. He doesn't have it.
Oh, not today, baby.
Dog? Oh, I don't think Dog ever had it.
Dog's never had it.
So if you ask kindly, maybe you'll get it. Okay, this first one is getting upset when players don't make the decisions that the DM assume they will make. especially if the assumed actions are not obvious from the setup. An example would be assuming PCs will go against what they've been told to do and preparing disproportionately for the outcome.
That is one of the main problems, I think, when it comes to over planning.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, there's no right or wrong amount to plan, so over planning isn't technically a thing, but the only problem is when you don't know what your players are actually going to do. Let's just say it's a bit of like a middle of the road session where there's like, okay, there's these options laid out in front of us. What are we going to do? And you like almost guarantee that they're going to do this one thing.
Yeah.
And then you plan that whole thing out and you don't do any of the others. And then they get into the session and they don't do that.
Yeah.
And then you almost have to railroad them into it because otherwise there's no session.
Yeah. I don't even think this is an over planning issue. I think this is just an assumption issue.
Yeah.
I don't think over planning actually has anything to do with it. Yes, you can over plan like one outcome, but that's on the basis. Hey, you know what happens when you assume?
Yeah, you've overplanned because of assuming.
Because you've assumed. Yeah, I don't think it's an over planning issue. I just think like, and this is something that I did as a DM.
Yeah.
This was something that, you know what? It wasn't even necessarily like
I think there's a skill.
Yeah.
I think there's a skill in being like, okay, I'm planning like this, and I'm like, it's not that I'm going to railroad them, but I'm going to make them do these things in this order because that's the order I've got them in.
Because, illusion of choice is a huge thing,
illusion
right?
of choice, yeah.
But, the thing is, I didn't ever try railroad you, but I just assumed you would do these things. And my problem was I told things in far too much of a nuanced way. I wasn't clear enough about things that were going on to be able to give you the informed thing. It was the curse of knowledge. I was like, obviously they'll pick up on this sound effect that I'm playing on this soundboard that pertains to something that I told them before we even started, and they'll go, oh, we have to go here. And obviously it never works like that. And
but the thing is, I think it does, but it takes a long time for your players to understand that that's how you tell a story.
Definitely.
And like, if they don't know that's how you tell a story, and you're not telling them that's the way you tell a story, and then you tell the story that way, that's like a lot of like belief in each other.
And that I think that's setting yourself and your players up for failure, to be totally honest with you.
I get you.
And like, I did this, and I didn't get upset when you didn't go the right way. I that you can't make your players care about things that they don't care about. And I think that's what I struggled with. I was like, oh, I really care about XYZ, but ultimately that was only me. Like, you can't make other people care about the things you really care about. Like, and I think you get your players to care about things through showing them and through time. Right?
I completely agree with you. And I think but then it does come into this, like, you assume, so then you plan. And then they go, and then you panic. So then you either are upset because they haven't done what you've got planned. Or you railroad them into doing the thing that you've got done. And it's just like, and then both options feel bad. There's something that I do mentioned. There's something that I do in game. It's when we're sort of at an impasse. Let's just say we finished one arc, and then there's a few arcs set before us. At the end of the session, we'll finish, and then I will literally just sit at my table just so I can plan accordingly. What are we doing next? And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Because it's just like, your players don't want to turn up. Your players don't want to stress you out with you not knowing and then not being able to ask. So just the question of, what are you going to do next session? Like, where are you going to go? You got this option, this option, this option. The three are before you, all of which you can do. Which one are you going to do? And then if they do that, and you've been told, then you can plan accordingly. But just guessing because you don't want to like ruin the immersion. It's like you're biting your nose off to spite your own face. For no reason.
And I also think like the actual point, I guess, is getting upset when players don't make the decisions the DM assume they will. Like, we had something similar to this happen to us where we played slightly more abrasive characters, not like evil characters or anything like that, but definitely neutral characters. And there was moments with NPCs who were being assholes, where our characters were assholes back, but the DM was really shocked and upset that for whatever reason, us as players weren't just going to accept this NPC being an asshole, and really tried to punish us quite badly for it.
Like, punish us really badly because, like, the thing is, I think a lot of you can have a it's tough. You can have an NPC that is an asshole, but they need to be so miraculously and outlandishly important.
Yeah.
And they need to have something that the party wants or some knowledge that the party wants for them to be the asshole, but still play a part.
Yeah.
Because if they haven't got that prerequisite of being important or being like vital to the plot, and then they're an asshole, it's like, well, your players just don't want to talk to them.
Yeah.
Like, you need to make your NPCs likable most of the time, or have them be so important they can be the asshole.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of plays into this of like the DM expecting players to go a certain way. Like, you know what? I don't even necessarily think on the base level this is a red flag. I think this is maybe a lack of experience thing, maybe an underconfidence thing.
Yeah.
I think the intentionally trying to force your players into a decision is the red flag, and being mad at them is the red flag, not the actual act of not being fully prepared for it.
And then, like, obviously not knowing what they're going to do next, and then not just asking them.
Yeah.
Just, like, communicating with your players.
Yeah, but again, I think I know a lot of newer DMs and people who are slightly less confident are, like, they think asking their players, hey, what are you going to do next, is going to ruin the immersion. Because the thing is, being a DM is mystified so much online. And it's the whole, like, don't ever let your players see behind the curtain. Don't let them know what you're planning next. And
don't let them know your next move.
Yeah, and I think also, you know how players are scared of metagaming? I think DMs in a lot of ways are scared of metagaming by being like, oh, where are you going to go next? Because it kind of shatters the illusion that the DM is this, like omnipresent, total, all-knowing being.
And the thing is, like you just said there, like, it's going to ruin the experience asking. What's going to ruin the experience is you not asking and then getting upset when they don't do the thing that you assumed that they were going to do, and then not having a session, then getting upset.
Yeah.
That's what's going to ruin it.
Yeah.
Not just literally. This is the problem. It's like we think that DMs are this, like, extra, like, planar being that has. It's just like, no, we're just people who are just trying our best to give you a session. And I'm telling you right now, person to person, if you are stuck in a situation where you don't know what your players are going to do next, just ask them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you and them will have a better time when the session comes around and you've got the thing planned that they want to do.
Yeah, there's no shame in it.
No
there
shame.
really is no shame in it.
There's nothing bad about it. It's only a good thing. It's only a good thing. Like, you can't guess everything they're going to do. And do you want to know what? There are going to be some times where, like, your players are going to do what you don't expect.
Yeah.
And what I do at that point is just say, I didn't expect that we were going to do this, so I'm flying by my seat of the pants as much as you are.
Yeah.
So let's just give it a go. Then they know that we're both on the same playing field.
And, you know, there's a chance that, you know, if I'm going to assume that your players aren't intentionally trying to screw you over.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they'll probably go a little easier on you as well.
But then, yeah, if you go, what we're doing next week, and then they go, oh, we're going to do this, and then you turn up, and then they just do the other thing on purpose to make you have a bad time, it's like, then your players are just assholes.
Yeah, then that stinks.
Yeah, your players are just awful.
Yeah, then that stinks.
Yeah, I just think that communicating with your party for everyone's sake to have a good time is the best thing to do.
Yeah, I don't think this is necessarily a red flag in itself, but the behaviors are what makes it a red flag, I think.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a red flag.
Yeah.
I think that's like not asking, then assuming, then getting upset when they don't do it, when it's obviously not obvious to anyone but them.
Yeah.
Is a red flag.
It's the getting upset thing for me that is the red flag, I think.
Yeah,
but I think people do this on accident all the time.
Yeah, I think people do this on accident. And the thing is, if you do this on accident and just say to your players, like, oh, man, sorry, I haven't planned for this, that's fine.
Yeah, I agree. This next one, there's 2 points in this. And overwhelmingly, crit fumble tables was obviously mentioned. If you've watched any of our other videos, you know that people, us included, hate crit fumble tables.
Yeah. They can be done well.
Yeah.
Can be.
Yeah.
But most of the time they're not.
Yeah. I would say 99% of the time they're not.
Yeah, I agree.
So that is something that goes without saying. Just know crit fumble tables absolutely is in this. Yeah. And the next one is calling for rolls for mundane things, like simply walking up a flight of stairs.
God. Yeah, big time.
Oh my God, that is big red flag.
I saw a creator on TikTok not long ago say these words, and honestly, I couldn't believe they were saying it. They said, if you're sitting around and just role playing, you're not playing D&D. you are ERPing or something like that.
ERPing?
I think that's the words that they said. You're like playing a different game. It's just like you've got to roll the dice to role play in D&D. Otherwise, hey, guess what? You're not playing D&D, and it's like I just don't believe that in the slightest.
Me neither.
The dice are there when things that would be challenging for us, would be on the cusp of not being able to be done, like going against somebody else. That's when we roll the dice.
Yeah.
Just talking like, hey, how's it going? Oh, you need to roll a dice for that introduction. Why?
I totally agree.
I just don't get it at all.
I completely agree. And you know what? I really hate the notion of, well, that isn't D&D. It's like, the thing is, there is absolutely a rule set to D&D. I completely agree. And there are so many people who would benefit from either playing a different TTRPG. But I don't think you can ever look at anyone's game and be like, well, that's not D&D. Especially like the roleplay aspect, especially with the way D&D is heading now. I would say D&D really is a vehicle for storytelling now, more so than it's ever been.
That's what the dice are.
Yeah.
I think they're a vehicle for storytelling in moments where a story needs to be told. When I'm just sat around the campfire talking to players, when I'm just walking up a flight of stairs, like when I get to level 1, I am more than your average person.
Yeah.
I am becoming a hero.
Who said this?
It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it.
Is it someone we know?
Yeah. But it doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Like, I am more than a hero. I am an adventurer. I am somebody who's capable to go out and like hold my own. So when you're asking me to roll to open a door, it's like I, as a child, can open a door. So why are you asking me to roll a dice to see if I can open a door?
I think that really gets into like micromanaging what's going on, and that takes the fun away. The fun of a dice-based game is important decisions being on it. Combat, it's fun because it's all dice-based. It's a rule set that works completely based on dice rolls. So, combat, I think it's imperative to have dice rolls.
And yeah, it's like skill checks are a thing. Sorry, I had to click out for my dog. Like skill checks. It's like, I think that a lot of DMs put these in because they don't understand how to utilize skill checks.
Yeah.
You find a book. Okay. What page in this book has it been open to the most? What was the reader of this book that you found in this wizard's laboratory? What page were they most fascinated with?
Yeah.
Okay. You see that the oily fingerprints underline a certain sentence. The certain sentence reads this sentence. And then, okay, roll me some investigation checks. Roll me some history checks. You've heard of this sentence before, and this. It's just like you're not challenging your players in the right ways, so you're challenging them in the wrong ways.
Yeah.
It's like you don't understand how to utilize skill checks, so you want them to make these mundane checks, so when they fail, you can Fortnite dance on them.
Yeah, well, there was, I think in a homebrew rules one maybe, where someone was like, RDM made us do skill checks to open a door, and if we didn't say exactly how we were doing it, we wouldn't do it, and that, to me, is just so incredibly boring.
It was like, I walked through the door, and then the DM like laughed, and they were like,
you didn't say you opened it.
You hit face first into the door because you didn't say you opened it. It's like, well, obviously I opened it. Okay, well, roll me a dexterity check. It's like, why?
Yeah. I completely agree. I think things like calling for mundane things, I personally don't see any reason as to why you should be. And oh my god, if we're sat around, and by the way, we're a heavy roleplay table, so I'm only speaking from personal experience. Like, if we had to roll when we're talking, like, NPCs, if we're deceiving them or we're trying to perceive them or do insight checks, I totally get that. But if I just have to roll to talk to an NPC, if I have to roll to talk to my fellow players, what's the point?
But I think that's, honestly, I genuinely believe this is where it's coming from, is I think people don't know how to implement skill checks, so they just ask for them because they feel like, oh, we're playing D&D, we need to be rolling the dice.
Yeah.
It's like, no, the whole point is when you need to roll the dice, it feels good because you need to. Yeah. Not, I'm just rolling dice for the fucking sake of it.
Yeah. And by the way, don't let anyone tell you that the way you play D&D is wrong. I know that we're sat here going like, you shouldn't be asking for all these rolls. And in my humble opinion, you shouldn't be. I understand there's maybe people out there, but
who might enjoy that.
But
and,
I find that kind of hard to believe.
And the problem is we get horror stories about it.
Yeah,
meaning that people don't enjoy it.
Yeah, that a small subsection of the whole TTRPG community telling us that they don't enjoy it doesn't speak for everyone, obviously. But don't let anyone tell you that the way that you're playing D&D is wrong because you do it differently. As long as you're not being hateful, and as long as there isn't any toxicity, and you're not intentionally hurting other people's feelings,
and everyone at the table's enjoying it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Do what you want. If you love that, you just roll dice for everything because it creates like funny moments where we fail and stuff like that. Then go for it. But I'm just speaking from experience of all the horror stories that we've received and why people dislike it as to why I formed my argument like that.
Yeah, and me. This is a red flag. For me personally, if I went to a table and the DM tried to ask me to roll a dice to be able to walk out of the tavern, I'm not playing.
I'm not in.
I'm not playing
it's
that
not
game.
For me. It's not for me.
That's definitely a red flag. To me, that suggests that the DM just wants to completely either Fortnite dance on you and dunk on you.
Yeah, bump.
or completely control your character to which the famous line, you should probably just write a book or play like a single player RPG
just go play Baldur's Gate.
Up, right?
Just go play Baldy G's.
Balding G's.
Balding G's.
Balding Gaze.
Balding Gaze.
What do you reckon?
What about the Balding Gaze? Go play Balding Gaze 3.
Do you think that's a red flag?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, for me, that's one of the... If that came up, I would immediately leave.
Me too. I'm exactly the same. Right, the next one. Again, this is something came up so very often. What do you think it is? For a DM red flag.
DM red flag. DMPC.
Yeah. That's exactly.
Bum, bum, bum,
exactly.
I want to dance on you. Bum, bum, bum,
you know what? I have a lot of opinions about DMPCs, honestly. But just so you know, this was, just like Crit Fumble tables, one of the very most mentioned things.
And the thing is, we've said it before, DMPCs can be done right to coexist with the party and help them, and maybe they're of this new place that they've gone to, and it's like a really in-depth culture, and they're helping them navigate it and teach them about the people and the land and the religion and stuff like that to make sure that they don't upset people. It's like, that's a great reason to have a DMPC.
Yeah, I agree.
If your DMPC is coming in to be the leader to drive the story, it's like you are struggling to tell a story. So your
without having to interject.
Your
personally.
DMPC is the narrator to be like, okay, we need to go here and do this. Why? Because I said so.
Yeah, it's
like you're not giving reason for roleplay.
This actual example is the presence of a DMPC. NPCs are fine. DMPCs are not. That's potentially a deal breaker on its own for me. And I think when I think of DMPC, because the thing is, you have so many DMPCs, and
well, they're NPCs that end up being in the party for a limited amount of time for a reason.
Yeah, I would say Roveret, Marcus's patron, is a DMPC. He's with us all the time. But I think the key thing is they don't join you in combat, and if they do, it's sparingly. Maybe when they have to. I think they aren't powerful. Like, they aren't the most powerful. They don't swoop in and save a combat for you time and time again because
that just feels
you're
bad.
too underpowered and they're not the leader.
Yeah.
I think those are kind of the main qualities.
I would definitely call Roveret more of an NPC than a DMPC because he doesn't do anything outside of just be funny. just be a funny old man.
Chat. Yeah.
It's like, do you remember when there was recently where Roveret could have been in a combat?
Yeah.
But he didn't.
Yeah. And we were all like, don't you dare. You hide here.
Yeah. I think DMPCs, the reason why DMPCs get a bad name is because they self-anoint themselves as leaders.
Yeah, that's it.
And they railroad the party because the Dungeon Master doesn't know how to tell the story without it.
Yeah. Which, again, I think it is an experience thing to some level as well. Because, I think probably a lot of DMs have done this, right? They've been like, man, my exposition isn't coming across clear. I'll bring someone in because, to be honest, I think this comes off the back of a lot of times DMs who were players for a long time moving into the DM seat and not knowing how to fully transition from being a player to a DM.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, well, I know how to do this. This formula works well, so I'll bring them in. And There's also the DMs who bring in a DM PC so they can just tell everyone what to do.
Yeah.
Double.
Or they can play. And
Yeah.
it's just like, you are playing as a dungeon master. I understand there are times where you are like, quieter. So, yeah, I think there's this... Don't know how to tell a story. Basically should write a book. Or want to be a player and a DM at the same time.
Yeah.
I think they're usually the worst cases of DMPC.
And again, we love a DMPC.
Yeah.
Like, we love your NPCs. We love having people with us. Like, there's quite a lot of your stories where, for at least a small amount of time, we will have an NPC with us. But that's because we choose to have them. We ask them to come with us. We enjoy their company. And again, I think what sets them apart is they're not the leader.
Mm-hmm.
They're not OP. No. They don't join a combat and immediately wipe the combat.
Yeah.
Like, it's the feeling of, oh, they're your savior, and they come in and you're so weak that you can't do anything, and then this NPC comes in and cleans up shop.
Yeah.
Like, that's where
like,
it feels really bad.
Make your combats easier so they don't need saving.
Yeah.
Like, your combats are obviously overtuned, or you're
doing it to
or
bring
you want
the
the
DMPC
savior
in.
complex of being like, oh, well, you couldn't have done it without me, and it's just like, well, that just feels bad.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
I completely agree with you.
I think there is a lot of nuance to DMPCs.
I agree. You can run DMPCs well, but a lot of reasons they're not.
Yeah, I agree.
I completely agree.
Do you think this is a red flag?
No.
I think it depends on the circumstance.
Yeah.
If we start a game and the DM, and the thing is, I trust you as a DM, and I know you wouldn't ever do this. If we started a game and then the DM was like, and then a fourth member of your party joins, and it's my NPC, I don't know. I think I feel a bit weird about that.
So I think this is the thing. It's like, is it a red flag? If I got into session 1 and the DM dropped in a DMPC, would I immediately leave? No. Would I see how it goes? Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
And then would leave if it was, them just self-insert, being the hero,
anointed leader.
I would leave then. But like, a DMPC isn't an immediate leave for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's all about the execution.
I
So
completely agree.
It's nuanced. The next one is not being able to impose themselves to settle table disputes.
Okay. So some people just aren't confident enough to do that.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people would rather just leave it to democracy manifest.
God, RIP again. Oh man, we're here again.
I think a lot of people would rather, like, because the thing is, let's just say, okay, that's not how I thought charm person works.
Yeah.
2 players are having a dispute, and then the DM's like, okay, well, this isn't just a one-time ruling. This is going to be sort of like how charm person's going to work for the rest of the campaign. How would you guys like to do it? It's like having that democratic sort of like, it's our campaign. This is a spell that clearly a few of us want to use.
Yeah.
Like, how are we going to make it work?
Yeah.
I think it's a good way to do it.
But I think this goes even further beyond that. I think this point is the DM not even doing that, and the DM just being like,
nothing to do with me.
Yeah, you decide, and like not saying anything.
If it's that, that's a red flag.
Yeah, the thing is, I agree. I agree. I think it's so hard because, you know what, in so many ways, and I was thinking this when I was putting the script together, like, I feel like the DM has so many things to do, and the DM has so many responsibilities, and I think, unfortunately, one of the DM's responsibilities is kind of being the final decision on rules, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Is the person who is expected to step in and deal with disputes, right? Like, we're talking rules disputes, we're talking like social disputes. I think, unfortunately, the DM is the person who's expected to be responsible for that, and that's such a hard, that heavy lies the crown, as we said in the last one.
Like, social disputes, I disagree.
Yeah,
like, I don't think that, like, as a dungeon master you have to take that on. In terms of in-game ruling, I completely agree. Like the final say comes down to the dungeon master. It's like, it's their table, it's the way they want to run a game. It's just like, if this spell is ruining their game, and it's sort of like an iffy-wiffy ruling of like it's not actually supposed to be like that, and I think that's a little bit. And if they put their foot down and say like this is the way it works from now on, that's the dungeon master's job.
Yeah,
I would say that is the dungeon master's job.
Yeah.
In terms of social disputes, I think they should, maybe help. I think they should help bring the table to a point where they can have a discussion.
Yeah.
But it's not up to them to settle social disputes at the table.
Yeah, but how many times do we say, if you have a problem, go to your DM. If this person's making you feel uncomfortable, go to your DM. If this person's being mean to you, go to your DM. You know?
But I don't think it's on the dungeon master alone to fix.
No, I think the DM setting up like a being somewhere of a safe space to be able to open up discussions.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, if they might be the right person to bring it up to somebody, because they are sort of that, like, passive third party in comparison to, like, players, like, interacting with each other. They are that sort of, like, arbitrator who sits on the outskirts. So, like, bringing social disputes to your dungeon master is fair.
Yeah.
And them to bring it up to people, but it's not to them to be like, hey, this stops now. It's like, we open discussion.
Yeah.
We open discussion lines.
Yeah, see, I think, you know what? I think I disagree a bit because, again, how many DMs do we get who are like, man, this player is being like this. This player's being rude. This player's talking over me. This player's on their phone. This player's, I don't know, being mean to another player. And, my recommendation is always just to talk to the player.
Yeah.
And I think the responsibility falls on the DM so often. And I think it's a hard one.
Yeah, I think, but I don't know if talking to them is the same as them having like final say.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I think that's where we were maybe getting a little like off each other's point. I agree that like the dungeon master is the person that you go to bring up a problem.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's them to say, "Hey, stop this now," because I said so.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. You know what? I don't know where I sit with this because I think
if you say to somebody like, hey, this person's getting upset about what you're doing, like, would you mind not doing that? And then they go, no, fuck you, I hate you. Then you go, okay, you kicked out the group.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's so important to always, because we say it all the time, how is someone going to know that they're doing something without being told first?
Yeah.
But I think it's actually really important for the DM to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. And I think a DM that doesn't impose themselves at all into any issue, above table people being like, this person posted something mean about me on Facebook, I don't think that's something that the DM has to get involved in.
Yeah.
But I think it's actually really important for the DM to step in with things like that, in my opinion.
I agree. I completely agree. I think them stepping in those moments, because they're this sort of like impartial third party, aren't they? In comparison to players. Like if there's a player dispute between things that have been going on in roleplay, it's like the DM wasn't involved in that and was just sat by like watching it, and they are the game master, so they are this like impartial third party that can come in with the arbitration.
I think that's it. I think a lot of times the DM's the mediator.
Agreed.
And I feel like, last episode where people are like, why is there such a lack of DMs? I think it's because there is this as well.
Yeah.
Because, if we had a problem, like our table, we had an issue with like a rule or something, and two players disagreed, you would step in and you would.
On rulings.
Yeah.
On in-game rulings, 100%. I think that is the dungeon master's final say, full stop.
Yeah.
But in terms of socials, or in terms of like social stuff, like all they can do is bring out lines of communication. You've got a problem with another player, so that person comes to the dungeon master. The dungeon master goes to the player and says, "Hey, this has been happening." Like, it's not like, "Hey," but I guess it is. Like, at the same time, it's like, "Hey, stop it, or you're kicked out." Because that is what I just said. So in a way, I think I agree with you.
Yeah, I think, for me, a red flag is a DM who just goes, not my problem, and doesn't get involved in anything.
If that person came to the dungeon master and was like, hey, there's this problem, and the dungeon master was like, hey, nothing to do with me.
Nothing to do with me, you two sort it out.
Like, I agree. That is the dungeon master's job, to hear out the players and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And open lines of communication. So I think I agree with you, actually.
Yeah. You know what? And when I was writing this script, I was like, man, that kind of stinks for the DM.
It does, yeah.
Having to be the person who is, you're not responsible for anyone. You're only responsible for yourself. And, if you have children. But, you're only responsible for you. So I think it is it's a big thing that I think DMs aren't recognized enough for.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
And the fact that I'm even saying here, I think a red flag as a DM just going, not my problem. Because I think that is a huge red flag. That in itself sets an expectation that the DM should have an open line of communication, which I think is really important.
I think it is really important. If somebody comes to you as a dungeon master and you just take your hands off the wheel and you're like, hey, sort that out yourself, that's nothing to do with me. It's like, that's a failing on your players.
Yeah, I agree. I think...
and it's tough because it's just like, that is just a lot of pressure for the poor dungeon masters.
It is.
And not every table has to work like that, and I understand you can probably figure out your problems between each other sometimes, but some people just aren't confident enough to approach other players.
Yeah, well, exactly. But the thing is, you can't expect someone to want to be able to do this as well just because they're DMing a game.
Yeah.
I think this is a really interesting, nuanced thing.
Yeah.
But I think this is why we say, when everyone are like, what are the top 5 tips you'd give to a DM? It's always have an open line of communication.
Yeah.
So things like that don't happen.
And let everyone know that you can be approached if they've got a problem.
Yeah. I definitely think that's a red flag.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Interesting.
I agree.
Interesting. Yeah, poor DMs.
Hey, do you want to know what, Margaret? You won me around.
No.
You made a valid point. You made a well-argued point, and I agree with you.
It's not about that. I think it's because I've had longer to sit with this when I was planning it, because I saw it and I was
planned
like...
this 10 minutes ago?
Well, but I was literally, as I was writing it, I was like... DM just has a lot of stuff to do, don't they?
They do.
They just have a lot of stuff to do.
They do.
And don't let that put you off DMing, by the way. As we always say, an open line of communication is the most important part about being a DM, I think. It really is.
I agree.
This next one is actively wanting to punish the players for having good ideas. The DM versus player mentality is dumb.
Biggest red flag ever.
Biggest.
Well, apart from things like, being a racist.
Oh, yeah.
But when we come down to actual, in-game play, biggest red flag ever.
Yeah.
You are diminishing your game by 1,000,000% and making it such a bad game by doing this.
Oh my God, 100%.
Let's just say somebody's like, I got a really good plan for this combat. And then the dungeon master's like, oh, what is it? And they go, I'm going to use this wall of force.
Yeah.
And it's a 5th level spell. And I'm going to separate this. And we're going to put the barbarian in. And when the barbarian's got everyone's attention, I'm going to encase him in a wall of force.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, really cool. And then you just go over to your monster stat block and you put disintegrate on. Because it's the only thing that can break a wall of force. It's like it didn't have it before, but now it has it, because you want to find a counter for your players' good play.
Exactly.
Your players' good play and them thinking critically about situations is them taking your game and making it have weight to the point where they need to plan around you. It's like you've made such a great game where they need to be like, we need to make a plan because it's going to be this hard. And then you putting disintegrate on for that wall of force is taking that trust
and
taking
it's the
that
trust. Yeah, I agree.
Taking the good game that you've created and just taking a sledgehammer to
it.
You're just ruining the game.
I agree. It's the trust of being like, okay, here's the plan, going over it, the DM listening and just thinking any way to not let them do it.
Any way.
Anything.
Yeah, that they're not allowed to do it.
Oh God, well, force doesn't work in this plane.
Yeah, this is the negative force plane actually, and that doesn't work.
Yeah, and I think that is just in such bad faith.
It's bad faith.
The thing is, who's that fun for? Because that's not fun for the players. The players are immediately going to feel poo-pooed, which feels terrible. The DM, gets what? Like a one-up?
No, Margaret, they don't lose.
Ah, yes.
But that's it. Like, your players then don't want to plan ahead because they know that you're listening.
Yeah, and they don't want to tell you.
And they feel hopeless.
Yeah.
They feel like no matter what they do, you're just gonna ruin it for them.
Yeah.
Which makes for a terrible game experience.
It makes for a really bad environment. And you know what? I can guarantee the conversations will be like, well, what's the point? Because we're not going to be able to do it anyway.
Yeah, the DM's just going to think of a way to counter it.
Yeah, exactly. And when you lose that trust as the DM, it's really hard getting it back.
Yeah, and then, then the players plan in secret. Now there's a divide.
Yeah.
Now there's a dungeon master at the end of the table.
Yeah, there's a separate group chat.
There's a separate group chat, and they're trying to work against you.
Yeah.
And, like, this is the thing. Like, my players openly plan at the table.
Yeah.
And if they come... Do you want to know what? The example of this and the person this would ruin my game for the most is Josh.
Absolutely.
Because Josh is such a smart player, and he thinks of, like, ways that spells maybe don't work, but they push the bounds, and he's like... And he, and I think he knows, like, if I think he's pushed it too far, I'll just say that maybe can't do that.
Yeah, totally.
But he does think of really creative ways, and we'll leave it down to a dice roll. And if it comes off, he feels like he's ascended to godhood because of this massive brain plan that he's come up with. And if I was just to like deconstruct that with like spells that I could counter him with every single time, he would have a worse game experience.
And I think that's why. Like, when we play a dice-based game, you can have a perfect plan, and it just not work because of the dice.
Because of the dice.
And in a lot of ways, yes, it's devastating when a plan doesn't work because of the dice, but no one controls the dice.
Nobody.
So it's like, okay, well, I tried, and if it succeeds on the dice, oh my God, there's no better feeling than that. And I think ripping your players of that joy because you want to
can't help but want to win.
Yeah, I feel like it just creates such a horrible environment
does.
having a DM. And when it gets to the point where you're arguing above table and the DM's having to do things above table, and I don't know, it just spirals into a really, really bad.
It's a terrible environment to create.
It is a really terrible environment to create.
There's no trust. There's like only you separate the table in two. We don't trust each other. People plan on their own. Like, there's just a lack of fun when those things happen.
You separate not only the DM from the players, you separate the players from the players.
It's like I've said before, it's like you inspire nothing.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
If your players are allowed to be creative and come up with creative ways, like you're inspiring them to like take that chance and think outside the box. But if you don't let them do that, you are inspiring nothing.
Yeah.
You are inspiring just a lack of trust and a lack of creativity. It's just boring.
Yeah. And by the way, as the DM, you can want your bad guy to succeed. Your bad
100%.
guy wants to succeed. That's the whole reason. That's the whole point we play the game, because it most of the time it boils down to good versus bad, right? And you have to want your bad guys to succeed as the DM, but fairly.
Yeah.
2 dice rolls.
Maybe not even fairly. It's like they have scryed on you and they've like laid traps for you. It's like they're playing dirty.
Yeah.
But at least they're playing fair.
Yeah.
Like, at least they're playing like within the bounds of the things that they would know.
Of. Yeah, totally.
Like, not things that they wouldn't know, but you know as a dungeon master because you are the dungeon master.
Totally.
That's playing unfair.
Yeah, I completely agree. That is I think, actually probably in the top 3 red flags.
That's probably, as a dungeon master who tries his best not to do this, like my absolutely very, very best. And there's so many times where you guys come up with plans and I'm like, man, I could easily fucking just counter the shit out of that with this. But it's just like, that would just be not fun for anyone.
Yeah, and you know what? There is
Biggest red
times
flag.
where we absolutely could. There's times where sometimes we do steamroll things. There's times where you steamroll us. And that's the ebb and flow of a D&D game. And I think that's what makes it great. And, we have a lot of trust between all of us. And I think that the whole reason we have trust between all of us is because you don't scheme to take us down. We don't scheme to take you, Jack, down. We scheme to take the bad guys down. Your bad guys down, but not you as Jack. We don't try to get one up on Jack.
No.
Big. That's a big red flag.
Hate that.
Yeah, same.
Hate that with a passion, a burning, fiery passion.
Yeah. To be honest, this one kind of ties in with it.
All right.
This person says there was an LFG I answered some months back ago, and I started seeing red flags appear. One was that the DM talked about when your character dies, not if, but when. That in itself made me uncertain. The second was that he highly recommended we used variant rules that gave some free feats and such, arguing otherwise I would be left behind by the others. He also specifically mentioned that he would be surprised if our characters survived for more than 4 to 5 levels, which, yikes. Basically, adversarial attitude, talk of death as if it's expected, and surprising if it doesn't happen. And mind you, the game wasn't advertised as a super lethal Munchkin levels of tuning.
So this is the thing. It's like, that's a red flag for me.
Same.
But that isn't a red flag, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, that's just a difference in gameplay.
I agree.
Like, there's, like, loads of games like this where it's like, your character is going to be lucky if they don't die.
Yeah.
Like, if you come to the end of this campaign as the same character, you're the outlier.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's just the way we like to play it. And this is the sort of game where it's like, less riding on backstory, more riding on, like,
pure raw numbers.
Hard encounters. And it's like, there can still be a story there.
Yeah,
like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's more about, it's like, don't get attached to your character because they're probably going to
die.
die.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Is that for me? No.
No. I will say, though, when I hear the DM saying they'd be surprised if our characters survive for more than 4 to 5 levels, I can't help but picture a DM being like, well, I'd be surprised if they live for more than 4 to 5 levels. And I get terrible vibes from that.
But some people like that. Some people take that as a challenge.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I'm going to come in with this fucking, like, unbelievably strong paladin warlock build. I'm going to come in with a coffee sorcerer. And it's like, that's the sort of game that people like that love to play at.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I'm going to build something so unbearably strong, almost uncounterable.
Yeah.
And let's see who wins.
Yeah.
And do you want to know what? I can see the fun in that.
Yeah.
I can see people having fun with that. Can I see that much fun? Probably not.
Yeah, I agree.
But, like, I can see people having a fucking hooting and hollering good time.
Yeah, no, I agree. A red flag for me, definitely.
Same
I would not play at a table like that.
Same.
No way. I can't help but pick up on kind of some DM versus player mentality in that, but that's just the way I see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think this would be fine to some people, not to me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like DM versus player is fine when that's exactly what you subscribe to.
Yeah.
Like, if you're there to try and beat each other,
yeah,
that's fine. And at the end of the day, the dungeon master, like, they get to the end of the campaign, that one person survived, and the dungeon master stands up and is like, well done.
Yeah.
Like, I can see it. It could be a good time, but I think you've got to really be on board and understand each other's point of view.
Yeah, I agree. This next one is the DM who wants to control your character. For example, if you don't do X, you lose all your powers. Or this situation vexes you so much that you get into a rage and you attack anyone you see, including allies. Or this makes you feel X or Y.
So, warlocks, barbarians, and werewolves. It's like, it's where they come from. These situations come from, like, oh, this thing happens and you can't help. Your patron's now so mad at you.
Yeah.
You can't help. You see this and you can't help but go into a rage frenzy and want to attack all your friends.
Yeah.
You see this, the blood is spilling from the enemy, and you transform into a werewolf and attack. It's just like, like, these stories can work.
Yeah, I agree. I was gonna say, that all sounds great, as long as it's been pre-discussed and pre-approved by everyone playing.
Like, this is the thing. It's like, they're fine. They're so fine story-wise, but there needs to be so much trust and so much communication between character and dungeon master. And the moments where these things fall down was where it was never prior discussed.
Yes.
Or there isn't that trust there.
Yes.
And they don't trust you to.
Yes.
So, like, player autonomy is such a massive thing in game. And you should never really take that away, ever.
Yeah.
There's times where you can, but there needs to be a super, like, discussed and foundation level of trust.
Yes, definitely.
That you need to work for.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot do it without that.
Yeah, you can't do any of this without it being pre-discussed and totally understood. And you know what? The thing is, the whole, like, you don't do X, you lose all your powers. You know, how many times have we heard of people who've played paladins or clerics, and for some reason their deity, do you remember that one where it's like, their deity, suddenly they all just die, and then these people just had to play like fighters or something?
Do you remember when they were everyone was a fighter?
Yeah.
Do you remember last session where they were like, oh, you aren't 4 paladin, 2 warlock anymore.
Yeah.
You're actually a barbarian warlock.
Yeah, because your warlock's mad at you.
And your patron's mad at you. It's like, there's just such a lack of trust there.
Yeah.
Like, this is the thing. In my second campaign, like, me and Margaret had this thing where she did want to lose control at some point.
Yeah, I did.
And it was up to me when that happened.
Yeah,
that's
but
me.
I trusted you. And I knew when you were like, this happens, I knew that that's what was happening.
Yeah.
So it was fine.
And we discussed it like since the character inception.
Yeah.
We were like 20 sessions in.
Yeah.
You had alluded to it so much that the party wasn't surprised when it happened.
Yeah.
And then when it came, it was this big moment where I was like, and you lose control.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
I took your choice away in that moment.
Yeah.
The story was, it happened to you.
Yeah.
But because there was this trust, because there was this communication for months prior,
yeah.
because you had prepped the party.
And I came to you and I was like, I want this.
You wanted it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, that's how you can do it.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? I actually feel really strongly about this makes you feel X and Y. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with the DM being like, this is scary. You're kind of scared in this situation. Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I really, and this is talking on player autonomy, I would hate to be told how my character feels about something like particular in the moment, right?
Like, what is wrong with showing this scary beast, like, or having this scary moment, something that you know this character is scared of, and then literally saying the words,
how does your character feel right now?
How does that make your character feel?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, if they're scared, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
Why are you telling them
100%. Like, you know, obviously there is nuance to this and there's moments where this is okay, but in general, I don't ever want to be told how my character feels about something. Because no one really knows that apart from me, and even in that moment, I might know, and I might have to think about it. I don't know why that bothers me so much, but like, it does.
The session that I just ran, like this week, it was like a big moment for Blythe and for Dale.
Yeah,
and there was a moment where we'd sort of gotten deep into it, and I just stopped and I was like, right, Dale, Blythe, like, how do you both feel right now?
Yeah,
and you guys just sat there and expressed like, yeah, you were scared.
Yeah,
you were worried, but there was like, okay, but we're gonna do it. Like, I feel like there's determination there.
Yeah.
And it was just it's like, I didn't tell them they were scared. I put them in a position where, after knowing all of these things, after 30 sessions of playing, I knew their characters would be scared.
Yeah.
So I let them express to the group, yeah, she looks scared right now.
And if you had been like, oh, and Blythe, you feel really scared right now. Like, the thing is, I know you wouldn't do that, but you know, that would have been a feels bad for me, because it's like, yeah, I think maybe this is just me not like being told what to do. Yeah. Maybe actually, I actually think that's what I'm channeling here a little bit. But I think it's so important to let your players feel and express and vocalize what their characters are feeling themselves. I agree. And I think that for me personally, it's stepping over a line of player autonomy when you're going, you feel X and Y.
I completely agree.
Yeah, I think this is a red flag.
Yeah, it's a red flag.
Yeah, I think this is a red flag.
It's a red flag. Yeah, big time.
Definitely. We've got a few left. We had a bit of a break in the middle.
No, we didn't.
Did we not?
No, it was maybe like 30 seconds.
Hold on, let me see which ones to pick from. Because once again, I planned too
okay.
many.
Well, you can keep some for next time.
Okay, the next one is designing adventures or campaigns that have a specific need for specific kinds of characters.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you can have the campaign set anywhere you want. Like, if it's an underwater campaign, fine. If it's a campaign up in the heavens, fine. But the whole point is these adventurers have found their way there. Yeah. Like, for whatever reason, for whatever backstory reason has driven them to this point, they found their way there. It's like, it's a low magic setting. That's what people love doing, low magic settings. Yeah. So you can't play sorcerers, warlocks, wizards, clerics, paladins. It's just like, no, the whole point is it's a low magic setting, but these adventurers have somehow still got the power. Yeah, yeah. Like, they're the special ones. They're the heroes. They're the adventurers. It's like, I understand if you want a no magic setting, then it might be like, okay.
God, I have a really unpopular opinion here.
Go on.
I do not like low magic settings.
That's fair.
I think that's really unpopular because that's such a popular thing to want.
I mean, my first campaign was a low magic setting.
Yeah, it was.
You enjoyed that?
It was because I was allowed to play a magical character.
But there you go. That's the point. It's like, low magic setting is fine, but your players can still play whatever they want. Yeah, because they're the exception.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. I think I don't like the idea of low magic settings where you can't. By the way, I'm absolutely a martial player, but I like to have a bit of magic. Yeah. But like I don't like low magic settings. Yeah. And that's a very personal opinion. I realize that's an unpopular opinion as well. That's something I'm just personally biased to. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think when you get into the realms, thing is, I don't think this is a red flag necessarily. I think this is maybe, again, a lack of experience thing.
Yeah, I agree.
But I also think when you make decisions when you're building a world and you go, okay, I'm going to need this archetype or even like this class to be able to access this thing, I think you accidentally can kind of push a certain player or players into being the main focus and being more the main character than the others, if that makes sense. I think unintentionally.
Yeah, I agree. And there's another one where it's like, oh, there's no gods in the setting, so clerics and paladins are off the table. It's like, why?
Yeah.
It's like a cleric can just have their magic from believing in something.
Yeah.
Like believing in anything. Same as a paladin, they're devoted to something.
Yeah.
Their tenets are their family, and you know, like they believe that family is like the whole thing. It's just like you taking off cleric and paladin because it's a no god setting is like, I'll be honest, it's a close-minded view of what clerics and paladins have to be.
Yeah,
it's like you are so shaped by traditional fantasy that you couldn't possibly see a cleric having power from anything but a god.
Yeah, you know what? I realized I interpreted this slightly different to you, and I actually think the way you've interpreted it is the way that OP meant.
Do you think?
I interpreted this as like someone makes a campaign and they're like, oh, the BBEG, you have to, in order to find the BBEG, you have to have plane shift. So I need a wizard who's going to be able to plane shift us or something like that. That's how I took it. But I think you're right with what you're saying.
let's just take that. It's just like, the whole thing is you realize that, like, the BBEG has found a way to plane shift. And you need to follow them, and the whole campaign is that. It's like, so somebody needs to play something with plane shift. It's like, no, we can just pick up on the things that the BBEG found out, where they found the ability to do it, and train ourselves and teach ourselves how to do it. It's like you're so locked in to that thing, you can't open your mind up to other ways to do it.
Yeah. And I think, you know, also the idea of having someone who's a brave character or someone who's an evil character, someone who's a good character, be like focusing on those archetypes and being like, my story will ride off the back of this, or even being like, my story rides off the back of someone in the party betraying someone. The thing is, I think if you actually have that idea and you go to your players and you're openly like, this is what it is, I actually think that makes for a cool dynamic situation. But I think if you're basing everything you do off maybe an action, hopefully by someone taken at a certain point, I think you interpreted it better than I did.
Maybe I did.
Honestly, I think you did.
Maybe.
I don't necessarily think this is a red flag.
Do you want to know what? I think this is less of a red flag and more of a lack of experience, is what this is. It's like, tell you what, it's a red flag if it's an experienced dungeon master who's doing this. It's not a red flag, but still a problem if it's a new dungeon master who's doing this.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's fair. Right, penultimate. This is the penultimate.
Yeah.
This is endlessly criticizes certain authors or other DMs, game designers and or the games, settings and adventures that they created, why they so epically suck, and why someone else's efforts, or maybe their own, are so much better.
Yeah, like, I personally just hate this. I just hate this. Like, I think it's just because of who I am as a person. It's like, I realize very much so, and I subscribe so hard to comparison is the thief of joy.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think I came there from dungeon mastering. Because, like, when I started dungeon mastering, I was very different to everyone who dungeon masters for us before.
Yeah, you were.
I was very, and it's not being like I was so different. It's just the way that I wanted to run my game wasn't anything like previous campaigns that we'd done.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
And maybe there was people who were like, "Oh, don't do this," and so it's just like, don't worry about me.
Yeah.
Like, if you worry about yourself, I'll worry about me. And we'll all have a good time.
I think that's it. And you know what? Like, we are all entitled to not like something. We all have our own tastes. We all have our own opinions. And we're very entitled to those opinions. But I think when someone, and I'm speaking in broad terms, when someone is constantly shitting on something else, and constantly being like,
Like-
oh, this fucking sucks.
Like it's almost obsessive.
Yeah, and like I can't help but feel like it's just a big projection
It's
of
a
their own
jealousy thing.
insecurities. Yeah, and you know, especially by the way, when other DMs are like, "Man, this other DM fucking sucks." I played in this game. Oh, the DM did this and ruled it like this. I would never rule it like that. Like again,
So
I
that's
think
fine.
I fully believe that as long as you know that they're not being hateful or intentionally hurtful to someone, a DM can run their game however
However they want. Yeah.
and I do genuinely believe people like this who constantly have criticism and nothing good to say about anyone else, it's just a projection of their own insecurity.
I completely agree. Like, it does get to that point where it is obsessive, where it's just like, let's just, Matthew Mercer. Fuck, like, come on. Like, he is the #1 target for hate
Yeah.
about the way he likes to do things. Because he's this public figure and because, like, Critical Role really, let's be honest, brought
Put
D&D
D&D back onto the map.
into the mainstream
Yeah.
again. Like, people love to hate him.
Yeah.
But it's just like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why do you hate him? It's like, I think you can dislike the way he dungeon masters. That's fine. Like, it's not for everybody. You can dislike him as a person. I don't know, you probably don't know him, so I feel like that's a bit of a fucking weird one. But it's like, at the end of the day, if you're so hellbent on hating him, I think there has to be an amount of jealousy in there.
I
And
agree.
like, look, he is great.
Yeah.
Like, he tells, and the thing that he does better than anything is world building. His world building is phenomenal.
Yeah,
he
I
is
agree.
probably one of the best world builders. It's insane, and that is one thing that like I do like love about him. And I think people just want it. They want to hate on him because they're jealous, or they just want to fucking hate on something. Like, a lot of people in this world just want to hate on stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
They just want to have a negative opinion on stuff.
because
They-
it makes them feel better about things.
they want to have a different opinion.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if you just want to have an opinion because it's different,
Yeah.
I think you need to get a...
Yeah, you need to. Yeah,
I think
I
you
think
really need to think about why you have that
I think you
opinion.
need to find what brings you joy.
Yeah, I feel like you have a
think-
lack of joy in your life.
I think if you're always focusing on
Negatives.
negatives and focusing on having a different opinion, I genuinely think finding something you love, finding a hobby you like, finding something that affects your life positively, will really help you with that.
And I think, like, I've known people like this who have had just, like, overwhelmingly negative opinions on things. And I've seen them grow as people. And they seem a lot happier in their lives now, maybe just because we've grown up and stuff like that. And I feel like they've left a lot of that behind.
Yeah, I agree.
And I feel like it comes from a place of being maybe unhappy with yourself.
It does. It really does.
This is a deep one.
No, yeah. Well, I thought it was a really interesting one to
I
talk
agree.
about.
I think it is a really good one
because
to talk about.
you know, I do think this is a red flag. If you go into a game and another DM's like, I played this other game and they were fucking shit and all these rules were dog shit and I wouldn't have ever done it like that, and I was sat there the whole time like, ugh, like. Those are inside thoughts that you keep to yourself. It's okay to judge people. We do it. It's a natural human instinct. It's okay to judge people. It's okay to be able to look at a situation and be like, I wouldn't have handled it like that. But it's not okay to then blast that out and act like you're the superior being because you didn't act in that certain way. Again, a nuance, as long as this person's not being hateful
or anything like that.
etc. I think that's a huge red flag.
Yeah,
I think
I agree.
I would hate to go into a game and all I hear is this DM slagging off every other person they've ever played D&D with.
It's like, I'm just gonna be on that fire.
And then it makes you go, God, what the fuck are they saying about me?
I'm gonna be on blast. Like, they're gonna blast me to other people because they're just miserable.
Yeah.
Like, they're miserable. They're like unhappy with so much going on in their lives or something that, like, they can't find a good thing to say about anybody else because they can't find a good thing to say about themselves.
And we all say bad things about people. We all do it.
Hey, look, some people deserve it.
Some
people do deserve it. Trust me.
Truly. Some people absolutely deserve it. 100%. And we all have negative things to say about things. That's being a human. But I think the most important thing is making sure if you find yourself being negative about something, make sure there's something you feel positive about as well.
Yeah, and make sure you're doing it for the right reason and not just because you're jealous or you're maybe just unhappy. And like, I get, like, look, there's a lot of this world to be unhappy about right now. A lot. But I think it's take a second and try to not spread that any further.
Yeah.
Like let's break the cycle. Let's stop the chain of events. Let's try and find the positive things that like we love about each other and the things that we love about the things around us, and not just want to tear people down.
Yeah, and it's totally okay to say bad things about things. It's okay to not like things. There's things that we don't like.
Oh my God, loads of things.
Mundane, boring ass thing. Like me, fusilli pasta. I hate that shit. I hate
there you
fusilli pasta. I hate it.
But that's not like fusilli pasta's not done anything wrong to you.
No, but you know, that was maybe a terrible
No,
example.
but it's right though. It's like the people around you that are just trying to do their best and it's not good enough for you, so you want to tear them down.
Yeah,
it's like that's when we can't be hateful to each other.
Yeah, it's when we have friends who like, they're like, God, there's this person, and this is maybe a personal thing because we were friends with someone like this who never had anything good to say about anyone, and I didn't realize it maybe until after the fact when we stopped being friends, and I was like, damn, they were so negative, and it's because they're so upset.
They are upset with themselves. They're unhappy with the life that they are currently living and stuff like that, and they can't do anything but project that negativity outwards.
Yeah, I agree.
So, that was a deep one.
That was a deep one. Should that be the last
Probably.
one? Yeah. You know what? I once again put too many in the script because I never know how much
I think what you should do is make a document for all of the ones that didn't make it.
Yeah, and then do them at another time.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree. Do you enjoy these videos where we just focus on like, you know, something that's not on scheduled?
I love it because
timing.
Like I feel like that was just a big chat.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about the podcast.
Yeah.
Is just chatting about TTRPGs.
Yeah.
And chatting about like the way people act at tables. Because it's hard to navigate.
It is. You know what? We will definitely do a green flag one. I think that's a great suggestion.
Man, the dog has knocked that lamp like 3 or 4 times.
Let's go.
Right. That's your fill.
That's it.
Check out the Patreon in the description. Check out merch in the description. Check out our Etsy store in the description. All of those great things. Thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe. It helps the video out so much. We appreciate you all so very much. Come join us on Twitch. I love you.
I love you.
Bully loves you.
Does.
Oh, here he is. Here he is. Little sausage. We have been the Eldritch Podblast, and we're going to see you on Monday. Bye.
And another huge thank you to our patrons for all of your support. A big shout out to our fellow entities.
Hooves.
Ariel.
Tula.
Runarian.
Arkham Labs Cosplay.
Maddie.
Pepsi Woman.
Luna.
Teddysaurus.
Caspian.
Ryan the Giant 111.
J-Spot.
Ultrafail.
Dallin M.
Sleepy.
Joe Dragonlord 2.
Alistar.
Lawkeeper Society.
Ricky B.
Danny Phantom.
Catherine.
Faustskin.
Azuriel.
Panda Queen Plays.
Xylo Boy.
Lucas Iapetis.
Luna River.
Ruined Rivers. Thank you again for all your support.
And if you too would like to become a patron of the Eldritch Podblast, check the link below.